What's up, guys? Welcome back to Hands On channel. Someone pointed out here recently that Mad Max actually took place in 2021. And if you remember the premise of Mad Max, it was a massive oil shortage or gas crisis, fuel crisis, and they couldn't run any vehicles, and the whole system collapsed into a post-apocalyptic, dystopian nightmare. So anyways, that might ought to, you might ought to think about that just as we face all these things with not only the fact that we voluntarily, or I didn't do it, but Joe Biden on his first day actually voluntarily shut down the Keystone Pipeline and pipeline expansion. And it's funny, his Department of Energy secretary or whatever, she said today that, pipelines are actually the best way to transport fuel and oil around. So, quite unusual that you would want to, shoot yourself in the foot like that and kill thousands of jobs. 11,000, I believe, was the number that they killed from the Keystone alone. And then this cyber attack, and yet the Biden administration has done nothing. This is an attack on the United States of America. Not only this company that runs this pipeline, but the United States of America. And the Justice Department, the FBI, the NSA, all these people ought to be able to investigate this and figure out who did this. They're saying it's the Russians, but I kind of doubt that. It may be the Russians by proxy, but I really believe it's probably the Chinese or some other globalist entity that wants the one world government to be built. So they want to kill the United States. So one of the things I saw here about this, the way that Biden is reacting to this fuel crisis here in our country. And if you haven't heard, I believe in Charlotte, North Carolina, 75% of the gas stations are out of gas. So not good at all. But Trump torched Biden over gas shortages and gas lines and inflation. It's the best takedown yet. I'm reading this from the Gateway Pundit, so go check it out. I'll have a link to the article. So a lot of people have been, comparing Joe Biden to Jimmy Carter, which is not a fair comparison. So here's the full statement by Donald J. Trump, 45th President of the United States of America. I see that everybody is comparing Joe Biden to Jimmy Carter. It would seem to me that is very unfair to Jimmy Carter. Jimmy mishandled crisis after crisis, but Joe Biden has created crisis after crisis, and that is true. First, there was the Biden border crisis that he refused to call a crisis. Then the Biden economic crisis. Then the Israeli crisis, or Israel crisis. And now the Biden gas crisis. Joe Biden has had the worst start of any president in United States history, and someday they will compare future disasters to the Biden administration. But no, Jimmy was better. And, at least so far, I'd have to agree with that. Trump nailed it and nailed Biden. There needs to be a lot more of that. And of course, you would be hearing about a lot more of that, except for the technocrats that control the social media platforms have basically banned Trump from the entire internet. So you're not really hearing a whole lot from Trump. Who knows? Just reading his quote there may get this video banned. I can never tell from one day to the next what YouTube is going to accept and what they're not going to accept. I've seen a lot of people and a lot of different memes and stuff, and it's kind of a joke or whatever. You see the lady filling up a Tupperware bin with gasoline or filling up plastic bags with gasoline. But believe it or not, there are a lot of people in America that are, quite frankly, how can I say this in the nicest? They're ignorant. Let's put it that way. They're completely ignorant. They have no idea. All they know is there's a gas shortage and they've got to go get gas so that they can have gas. And they're doing things in desperation, which are just idiotic. Filling up coolers, filling up, milk jugs and other things like that gas will eat through, and plastic bags. So the Biden administration actually had to put out a warning for all of their voters, the idiots in this country, the ones that clearly must have been them that voted for Biden and Harris. But anyways, here's another one. In the midst of massive gas shortages, crazy, insane Michigan governor Gretchen Whitmer orders shutdown of pipeline. I mean, you can't tell me when you look at all these different things from Biden's day one and his anti-oil industry and anti any kind of fossil fuel. He hates fossil fuels and he wants us all to go to electric cars and all this stuff. Well, how's that going to work out when we're all on electric cars because we've been forced to be on electric cars because the gas prices are so expensive? It's like Mad Max and we can't afford gas anymore. How is that going to work out when we have rolling brownouts all around the country and the government's controlling the switches? Like they did down in Texas. Because that whole entire thing was a cascade effect created by the federal government's regulations and the inability of the Texas power plants to pick up the slack because they couldn't do it. They weren't allowed to do it. They were mandated to where they couldn't do that sort of thing because of the EPA. So, all in the name of environmentalism, several people froze to death over the winter. And many Americans, they won't even remember that because they have such short-term memory, or maybe it's attention deficit disorder because of, watching so many Netflix movies and stuff like that. I don't know what it's because of, but what we do know is that there are a lot of people in this country that are just flat ignorant. And real quick, I want to say something. I want to address something. It almost never fails when I put up a video where I'm talking about the shit hitting the fan and you should stock up now. Someone will come in the comments, probably a liberal, probably a Biden voter, and they come in there and they say stuff like, yeah, you're creating the panic. People like you are causing this panic. Well, let me tell you something, sir or ma'am. I am not in government, never have been, never will be. I believe the system is too broken now to fix through the traditional ways of going and running for Congress or something like that and fixing it from within. I think the system is so stacked against the good guys that there's no way to regain it right now, at least without, like Thomas Jefferson said, there needs to be a revolution, every couple of generations or whatever he said, just to keep things current, keep the system current with the changing times. So we're overdue by probably a couple of 100 years for a revolution. So that could be coming. I don't know. It could be civil war. I don't know. I'm seeing news all throughout the last week. I didn't report on it because I've just kind of been absorbing it all. But it's come out now that the Chinese military, the CCP, actually did a study like 5 years ago on what the next best way to go about using biological warfare to start World War III. And of course, we are their primary adversary. So we're their number one enemy, even though we have made them and we have given them all this wealth and given them all of our factories and let them steal all of our proprietary ideas and stuff without any consequences, without going after them or doing anything. We just let them get away with it. And we just let them, have and take and take and take. And now they got Beijing Biden in there, the guy they put in, and they used the coronavirus to do it. I'm convinced of it. It's just unbelievable that our country is being overthrown from within like this by the communists, and people are just allowing it to happen. The guy is a bumbling oaf. He renamed New Mexico when he was speaking earlier. I just scanned that headline. Biden's America. Federal government agency warns against hoarding gasoline in plastic bags. And again, if you don't know any better than that, I'm sorry, but you deserve to go boom. You should learn. You should learn before that happens. I don't really want to see anybody go boom, but I don't want to see anybody putting gasoline in a plastic bag. The gasoline is going to eat through the plastic bag in short order. And that's if you make it home. If you're putting it in the trunk of your car or the back of your pickup or something, and somebody comes by and, the car next to you has a guy that's smoking a cigarette, or maybe your car backfires or something like that, it will go boom. Biden's America. More than 70% of gas stations in Charlotte, North Carolina, out of fuel. What would you do if that was your town? That's the question. So have you already stocked up on fuel? I highly advise you from now on, run all of your vehicles full of fuel, as full as you can keep them. Maybe only use the top quarter of a tank to drive around on, and then go, top that off every time. It sucks to have to be like that, but I think it's warranted right now with the way things are going. And if nothing else, you're locking them in at today's prices. But I'm seeing gas prices are above $3 a gallon now. So, back when Trump was in office, they actually, for years and years and years, every president that ran, even the Democrats, would talk about wanting to get us off of foreign oil dependency and stuff like that, right? I mean, even Democrats used to talk like that. So they used to be pro-America back then. Trump actually got us off of foreign oil for the first time in history. He actually did it. It was one of his biggest accomplishments. Fuel prices were cheap. I mean, they were abundant. Everybody was happy. We could go do more things. And when the fuel prices are cheaper, that allows people that are like contractors and other, business people that have to run around in their own personal vehicles or their company vehicles, it gives them more ability to get things done, to accomplish more goals. Therefore, it turns the economy on. When you raise the gas prices up like they did under Obama, and if you remember, I mentioned it in the last video, I believe, under Obama, he actually said, under my plan, our energy prices will necessarily skyrocket. He didn't just mean your electricity on the wall. He meant energy prices, which includes oil and natural gas and coal and all the other stuff that goes along with creating energy in this country. So this is a rehash of the Obama era energy policy that we're seeing playing out right now. The reason it seems more urgent than ever is because you stack it on top of the fact that there's less truck drivers now. Apparently the trucking industry is hurting real bad and doing all these big sign-on bonuses and stuff because they can't get people to come drive the trucks because the people would rather stay on unemployment and sit on ass at home watching Netflix and stuff and getting stimulus money and all this other stuff, this socialism. That's what this is, guys. It's socialism. And the American people are accepting it. This is a test run. All of this stuff has been a trial run into socialism. And the next thing they're going to start pushing is the UBI, Universal Basic Income. To where if you don't want to work, you don't have to work. You just sit there on ass and collect money. And guess who's going to pay for it? The people that do want to work. And over time, those people are going to be fewer and fewer and fewer until the system runs out of money. Margaret Thatcher said, socialism's great until you run out of other people's money to spend. And that's something we should all really, really think about because the United States we've already been living under a part socialist system anyways, with like the way the system's set up, the welfare system, even the unemployment system, even we cushion all the falls for people, so they don't have any real incentive to save anymore because it's like, well, if I fail, I'll just go get on welfare or I'll go get on some social program that'll bail me out. Daddy, government will save me. Government has become the daddy. That's the problem. And suddenly it's like, oh, well, we got to print more money. We got to print more money. That's what Biden's saying over and over and over. And unbelievable, man. I mean, adding like $19 trillion to the debt since COVID kicked in. Unbelievable. All of this printing has consequences. And the real world consequences are higher fuel prices, less product availability for you and me, because it's supply and demand, and you might be thinking, well, what are you talking about? This is just on the East Coast where this is happening. Yeah, it is on the East Coast where it's happening, but it's a chain reaction. There's only so much gasoline out there in the entire country. And right now, I guarantee you, because of the shortages that are going on in the East and the Southeast mainly, I guarantee you a lot of refineries from your state are shipping fuel down there to fill their void. So what is that going to do? It's going to raise the prices. They're already above $3 a gallon. Thanks a lot, Biden. And we need to put blame where it belongs. And that is in the lap of Biden, Pelosi, Schumer, all of these Democrats that want to destroy the United States as founded. This is flat out communism, globalism, right here happening in our United States. Makes me sick, man. I hate it. I wish I could just worry about my own personal stuff in my life and, not have to worry about the government coming and taking everything away from me that I've worked for. But apparently that's the plan they're going for. Here's something. Sky News. The leader of the free world is cognitively delinquent. He's definitely in decline. And they're talking about Joe Biden. The guy, he can't speak for more than 2 or 3 minutes straight without flubbing or making some kind of gaffe. Shock report, inflation surges, consumer prices jump 4.2%, fastest rise since 2008. I mean, and again, if you've got a long enough memory, or you were alive then, that you remember 2008, that was a major economic downturn. I mean, everything went really bad in the economy under Obama. No coincidence, the same thing is happening under Joe Biden. And really, we should call him, Joe Obama or O Biden or whatever you want to call him. But he's run by, I'm convinced of it, Obama. He was the first ex-president in history that kept an office in D.C. Never happened before. Every other president, like George Bush, he went back to his ranch. Bill Clinton, I don't know where he went, back to Arkansas or something. I have no idea. But he didn't hang around in Washington, D.C. and pull strings. The entire time Trump was in office, Barack Obama, I'm convinced of it, was up there in D.C., all connected with all of his people. He probably had a revolving door, and Pelosi and Schumer and all the Democrats were coming in there and asking him what to do, because he's still in control of the Democrat Party. This is Barack Obama Part 2. It sucks. Hamas is launching rockets. Of course, Israel has their Iron Dome thing, so I don't know if very many of them have hit anything, but still, things are heating up over there in the Middle East again. Why is that? Why are all these things happening now? Well, it's because these people in foreign countries, they see a power vacuum, and they know we have a weak leader. They know we have a guy that's in cognitive decline. They know that he's being controlled by somebody that's pro-Islam, Barack Obama. So they must have sent out the memo to all of their, foreign allies, because they certainly don't like the United States. That's who they're allied with. Think about it. You can tell a lot about a man by who his friends are. And I would argue the same thing applies to people like Joe Biden and Barack Obama. Unfreaking believable. The designed collapse of the United States of America is playing out right before our eyes. What are you going to do? Have you been stocking up? Did you buy the bare minimum, the bare essentials like, beans, rice, things that store well, sugar, salt, flour, things that you can't make easily? Do you have a good supply of medical supplies in case, you can't go to the doctor one day? Maybe the gas runs out and you can't actually put gas in your car, so you're far enough out that you can't actually get to the doctor. Are you going to be able to take care of yourself and medicate yourself? These are all things that you need to seriously ask yourself. And again, I don't want to say end times, but it feels like things are going to hell in a handbasket. You had Fauci in there the other day, and Rand Paul, God bless him, man. He's one of the last good guys out there. Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, there's a few others I'm leaving out, but there's not a whole lot of good guys out there. Here's what Rand Paul had to say after that hearing that they had with Fauci the other day, where he grilled him. Rand Paul really grilled him real good. And he says he was being dishonest. Wuhan Institute published paper saying it was funded by the NIH. Rand Paul calls out Fauci's dishonesty under oath. He lied under oath. And that's what Rand Paul is accusing him of. So hopefully there will be an investigation into the source of where this COVID-19 originated from. I think we all know. We got a really 97% chance that we know it came from Wuhan, China. The question is, did it come from the lab? Did it come from the wet market? I don't think so. I think it came from the lab. There was a report recently where one of the scientists actually was the first known case in the country that worked at the Wuhan lab. So that's probably not a coincidence. They probably did this intentionally. And this is World War III. They talked about it 5 years ago openly, the CCP did. So go look those stories up. It's such bombshell news now every day that my head is left spinning at the end of the night. And many nights, I'm telling you, I'm losing sleep over this stuff because, I see my country being openly attacked, whether we know it or not, or want to admit it or not, or we're doing anything as a result of it. We are in the midst of World War III right now. How hard would it be to believe that China was the one that attacked the oil pipeline the other day? Or the next thing may be the power grid. If you take their fuel away first and then you knock off the power grid, how would people run generators? How would all your food would spoil, everything that you have stocked up. So have a plan, have some gasoline stocked up in your shed in a safe way. I've had a video in the past where I talked about the easy pour gas spouts that you can go buy at Tractor Supply. You can also buy them like online at Amazon or whatever. I'd encourage you to not use Amazon because they're basically the Walmart from 20 years ago. They're taking over the world basically. So I'm trying not to buy from them. I'm trying to buy locally as much as I can. And while Tractor Supply is a chain, it's a local business here that employs people. So I'm trying to, use stuff, and even if it costs me a few bucks more, I'd rather keep somebody around me locally employed, and a small business especially. Tractor Supply is not a good example of that, but if you've got other small businesses around you that specialize in, maybe hardware or other stuff like that, frequent those guys. Go spend your money there rather than the big box stores and chain stores, because they're hurting. They're hurting real bad. They're dropping off like flies all around me, guys. And again, I'm not trying to create any panic, but this is it. This is it. This is what all of us preppers have been prepping for years and talking about for years and years and years, is this situation right here, the collapse of the United States of America. Will it be the dollar that falls first? Will it be the oil system that falls? Will it be the power grid that fails? Will it be an invasion on our southern border? Will it be, a super new COVID-20 or 21 or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what it'll be, guys, but I feel it's coming. Everything in my heart and soul and my gut tells me prep like there's no tomorrow, because there might not be. The danger of the fuel supply running out is and how it ties into the JIT, just-in-time supply chain, is that diesel trucks run on fuel. When gasoline starts getting in short supply, diesel will also start being in short supply as well. And we saw what happened down in the, I don't know what canal it was. Was it the Panama Canal or Suez Canal or wherever it was, where the big shipping cargo container got lodged in there and blocked off the canal, and it, it basically disrupted the supply chain for over a week. And we're seeing all sorts of signs that are showing me that the supply chain is breaking. So guys, for the sake of your family and your health and your future, please go out, stock up now while you can, because by the end of the summer, when things cost 78% more, that's the prediction, 78% increase over the summer because of inflation and because of availability of food or shortages of food. Go plant a garden if you can find seeds. If you can't find seeds, go to your local nurseries and stuff like that and help keep those places in business and buy from them and put plants in the ground so that you can survive the summer. God bless you. God bless the United States of America for as long as it lasts. I stand for liberty until the day I die. I hope you'll join me. We'll see you next time.